Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. The next 10 minutes are inspired by a chess game and a license plate. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the engine. I find it really difficult to make friends with non-athletes. And I know that sounds terrible, but the reality is I realized this when I was in college. Okay, so I was on the rowing team when I was at school at Berkeley, and it was very difficult to align my interests with people that that weren't on the rowing team, frankly, or just weren't athletes. I would meet people from time to time that I thought were reasonably interesting, and I was a rhetoric degree, and I was studying these really interesting concepts and philosophies, and I would obviously meet people that thought they were interesting too. They were taking these courses, and occasionally we'd hang out, go get lunch after class or something like that. And there was always just there was something flat about it. I just didn't understand what they did. And I realize how ridiculous that is, but you have to understand when you're getting up at 5 a.m. and killing yourself every day, and you're also doing it in the afternoon, and you're wholly committed to it. Like, your day rises and falls with this activity and this pursuit. Other people, even if you don't understand their pursuit completely, need to have something like that. My wife was actually captain of the water polo team at Cal, and I love her, and I love her for it. And she understood that grind. She understood that pursuit. And I think that's one of the big reasons why we connected so well. But there was this one guy that I got along with pretty well. One guy that I really tried to connect with, because he was kind of like a kindred spirit and wasn't an athlete. He was into rhetoric. And we were playing chess one day, and I had this nice chess set, and I was really excited about it. And we were playing chess, and he was a pretty good chess player, and I liked playing chess, so we are going at it. And we were talking about the nature of free will, and he brought up that we both agreed to some degree that what you do is pre-programmed. So say I don't like cilantro on my tacos, and I just don't like cilantro. Well, when I go to order a taco, probably not going to get it with cilantro. Well, you probably could have guessed that. I tell you ahead of time, I've never liked cilantro. I never will like cilantro. Well, I'm not going to order cilantro. Well, is that really free will? Well, why do I not like cilantro? I don't, it just tastes bad to me. Did I decide that it tastes bad to me? Well, not really. I just tasted it one day and was like, I don't like this. Well, that's not really free will. It's not like, okay, do I decide to like this or not? So there's this whole big problem that I was mulling over when I was 21 and 22, and trying to work through it. And I know that seems quite heady, but what do you do when you're a rhetoric degree and studying philosophy and trying to understand the world more completely? And he had a very interesting take on it, my friend, as we were playing chess. He said, I think that we can't choose to reprogram ourselves. Like, I couldn't choose to reprogram myself with cilantro, but we can choose to opt out of the program momentarily. I was like, opt out? What do you mean? He's like, well, haven't you done things that you can't really explain why you did them? I said, yeah. I was like, right. So there's no real good reason there. It's not like I dislike cilantro. I've always disliked cilantro, so I didn't order it. It's kind of like all of a sudden the program short circuits and you just act in a certain way. And he said, now, if you try to make this intelligent action, it won't work, because intelligent actions means you're thinking, which means your brain is engaged, which means your habits and your past experiences are engaged. It's not going to work. There's just action. Something happens, and you can't really explain why you did it. And I always thought that was really interesting. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Again, even though it was something that I heard so long ago, Because there was something else that happened after, very shortly after that. And again, I think I was a junior when I was playing chess with this guy, and I was dating a girl who had her own past experiences and was very, very anxious, and she was very jealous. And we were driving down the street in Berkeley, and I looked out my window, and there was a Hawaii license plate on this car. And it was Hawaii because it had this rainbow and it looked different. Obviously not a California license plate, and I stared at it just briefly. And my real thought at the time was, I wonder how that car got here. Right? Hawaii's across an ocean. How did that get here? And she got very upset because she thought I was looking at, apparently there was some girl in the same general vicinity as the car, and she thought I was looking at the girl. And I think this happens to a lot of people. I think that everyone assumes there's a reason why people are acting. And it's not a horrendously unfair action. We ask people all the time, why did you do that? We expect an answer. Right? Well, I did it because of this, or I did it because of that. But I think the biggest thing that happens is, before people ask the question, why did you do that? In good faith, most people assume the worst answer. And that's damaging. That's really difficult to deal with. Because it's true. Most people do assume the worst answer. They assume the thing they're most worried about. They assume the thing that's most offensive or scary to them. They assume the worst. There's a concept that's popped up very, very recently, and it's pretty much everywhere. Concept of God of the gaps. And God of the gaps is the idea that within religion, or religious thought, if there's a gap of understanding of something, where do we come from? What's our purpose here? Whatever. The answer is God, right? Like Big Bang, fine. But how did the Big Bang come around? Well, it's God. Where did it come from? Well, it's God. Or why is this? Well, it's God. God of the gaps. There's a gap in understanding. You insert God as the reason or the answer. Well, that's been applied in a very bastardized situation to race and gender and sexual orientation. Why did somebody do this? Well, it must be that they're a straight white guy. Why did somebody do this? Well, it must be that they're transgender. Why did somebody do this? Well, it must be that they're transphobic or homophobic or they're racist. Why did somebody do this? They don't understand the motivation for someone. And therefore they insert the worst possible answer. Well, the problem with all of this is exactly what my friend playing chess said. The problem is sometimes you don't know why things have happened. And there may never be a solid reason for why they're happening. And it's a very interesting thing. You see it with tests. Why is it that Asian, American, and Caucasian students overwhelmingly on standardized tests score higher than Latino and Black students in elementary, middle, high school? Why? Why is this? The answer has been inserted: discrimination. The tests are racist. And that's such a bad thing to do, because it gets away from actually trying to understand it. It inserts something that's, one, the worst interpretation. And if everyone listening just accepts that interpretation, then they stop looking for the real reason, right? If you can convince everyone that the SAT for college entrance is just racist and discriminatory, then you stop looking at other reasons why people are scoring lower on it. Like, well, the test is racist, we better throw it out. That's not good. But the problem of inequality is not going to evaporate with the SAT. That's the thing. Even if we eliminate it, it's not going to go away. I'm willing to bet if we eliminate the SAT, Asian American and Caucasian students would still score higher on any standardized test that is administered on a large scale than Latino and Black students in California if you don't change anything. Now, there are probably real reasons why this is happening, and it's not great. I'm Mexican myself. I don't think that's great. It's absolutely not great. But just eliminating a test that showed the inequality is not going to fix the inequality. You're just destroying the thermometer. We may still have a fever. We just can't read the fever now. And that's an unfortunate thing. It's an unfortunate thing to take the idea that there's a lack of understanding of why something's happening and just inserting the worst possible case scenario. And it's unfortunate on not an organizational or large scale level, but it's unfortunate on a low level, on a small level, an interpersonal level. Because I really do, having thought about this for decades, I really do believe that there are things that people do, and almost everybody has had them. People do things, even the most well thought out. Why'd you do that? You know what, honestly, I don't know why I did that. I don't know. And I think inserting after that, hey, look, I don't know why I did that, with, well, it must be this horrific answer. It must be the worst possible interpretation of your behavior. It must be the worst possible thing, is a really terrible thing. I think the propensity that we have to insert the worst possible explanation for somebody's behavior in the absence of an explanation is just a miscarriage of humanity. You can't just demonize somebody because you don't know why they did something. Saying I don't know is hardly saying I did it because of that person's skin color or sexual orientation or gender. So the next time you find yourself struggling with someone's actions or your actions, you really may want to refrain from trying to describe their actions as worst possible interpretation and demanding that they defend themselves. Because there are some times when people just do things and they don't know why. And there are some times in the world where things happen and we don't know why. And we don't have a great reason. But that hardly means that those people are bad people, or the information you're getting is bad information. I'm Matt Todd, and this is the engine that drives me. Go out and crush it.